the level of due diligence that you have talked about is something that I think is it's overlooked by a lot of kids going through this process. They think, I might just send an email. I should send a couple of emails out and they should respond. These coaches get hundreds of emails.
A day
A day from kids all over the world, and a lot of people will come back. He didn't respond to me, so therefore he doesn't want you. You probably just sent the email. It might have been 2 a.m. his time.
On this Football Friday, we've got William Valtos on this episode of Across the Line. And it's a fascinating journey that he shares with us on this episode. Only 18 years of age, but has plied his trade in the Philippines, in Phuket, and now in the United States with Wake Forest University. So we get an opportunity to unpack his journey and sort of the traits required to bring him to this stage in his footballing career. It's a fantastic episode and one we really enjoyed having, so we hope you enjoy it as well. If you enjoy this episode, if you enjoy the content that we provide here on Across the Line, please do subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, and on Apple Podcasts. Enjoy the show. It's not very often in the Philippines that we export footballing talent over to other parts of the world. We do import a lot of talents that are produced abroad and bring them over here to the Philippines. Today, we've got the privilege of talking to one of the young talents that is blooming abroad in the United States, to be particular. On the show today is William Valtos. Welcome to the show, man.
Good to be here. Thank you for having me.
Jing on the show alongside Chris Greatwich, as usual, who's just fresh from a little trip back in England. How was that?
Yeah, very good. Very good. Cold. Actually, not too cold. Warmer than usual. But still, much colder than here. And we had a nice family Christmas vacation, and my son managed to play a little bit of football while he was there. So that was nice. Yeah, I think it sort of ties in a little bit with having Will on the show. We've talked a lot about youth football.
Yeah.
In recent episodes, some positive, some negative experiences from my time there, and I think the overarching sort of theme that came from that particular trip for me was that we're doing a lot of good things here in the Philippines. Right. I think we've done a lot of things of highlighting a lot of the negatives that have been involved with youth football, but having gone to the UK and seen some of the things that are going on in youth football, one of the things that came out of it was actually that, I think we are doing some positive things, certainly with my academy, certainly with some like-minded football schools that are out there. So from that perspective, I think it was really good. But one of the reasons why we wanted to have William, segueing into you, is we've had a lot of people on the show who have experienced football abroad and have brought their talents to the Philippines to play with the national team, to play in the Philippines, Philippine professional league here. But you've gone the opposite route. So you're one who's grown up in the system here for a large period, and then now applying your trade in the US. So really we want to try to unpack that a little bit in this interview and talk about your experiences within the youth football segment here, and also what your current situation is in America. Because as Jing said in the intro, you're fresh off your first season at Wake Forest, Division 1 NCAA football over there. How did you find it?
Tough, definitely. I mean, in terms of adjustment, culture-wise, football-wise, it was kind of a shock. Levels very high, that's for sure. And just, you got to balance academics with football. And, you got to choose sometimes which to prioritize.
Yeah.
But it's been good so far. I learned a lot.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. So just for everyone, you've had a really, really good season, haven't you?
Yeah.
I follow college soccer quite closely. I haven't been there myself. My two brothers went there. But tell us a little bit about how your season progressed with the team.
Yeah, so we made it to the Final Four, so the semifinals. Fortunately, we lost, though, to Virginia. With Wake Forest, with the standards, I feel every time we don't make it to the Final Four, the season's called like a failure, which just shows the expectations and the pressure put on us as players, and as the program. But it was such a blessing in my freshman year to go to the Final Four with a great team. It was a tough season. We dealt with a lot of adversity, which I think helped us get to the point we did. A lot of injuries to our starters. We had 2 ACLs to our starting wingers. Right. We had our sets at points. 2 of our starting center backs were injured at the same time, so we had get our left back at center back for one game. Right. So just adapting, I think, was crucial for us this season, and we did pretty well.
Yeah.
What position do you play, Will?
So now I've been played more as a winger. Sometimes seeing like a right back, which is also another change, I guess, because I used to play midfield a lot, especially here in Thailand, and you have to go there and move out to the wing. I definitely had to learn as fast as I could. System's very different, but it's been good so far. I feel like I'm slowly getting there. Yeah.
Did you get a lot of playing time over there?
Well, I made about 4 appearances, which I'm fairly happy with, definitely very happy with. Team is very strong, especially as a winger. Got some really, really good players, and it's just great to learn from them as well. But the chances that I did come in was incredible. Playing in front of the fans, you learn a lot, especially just playing games, for sure.
I think, just to broaden the perspective for some of the listeners or viewers with in terms of the level that Will's probably playing at. I mean, Wake Forest are perennial national powerhouses in that Division 1 soccer scene, and whenever a lot of these teams do European trips, they will often play against top European academies or under 23 development squads, and they would routinely beat these types of teams. I remember even when I was in America, I think it might have been Wake Forest. I forget. It was certainly one of the North Carolina programs. I think they went to Bayern Munich and they beat their under 20s, something like 4-5-0, and people looking at it like, whoa, who's this? But the level is extremely high. It's certainly comparable to, I would say, probably one of the lower tier, probably English professional sides. I don't know how you would probably compare it, but I would imagine they would be better than most, if not all, of the teams participating here in the PFL. I would say. I would certainly say that your Wake Forest team would give Ceres a very good game. Would you agree?
I mean.
Would you think you'd beat them? That's
I know.
To give it a comparison in terms of the level.
I'm not sure about beat because of the experience in the Ceres side, but definitely a good game. I think technically a lot of my teammates could match them. I mean, I'm playing with guys who are, going to go to the MLS, go to Europe.
I'm assuming someone going in the draft now?
Oh, yeah. So we got 2 players going in the draft. But the thing is, a majority of my teammates, especially in Wake, they sign homegrown contracts because they've already been with MLS teams. And that's how I go with MLS. So a few should sign some MLS contracts and maybe a few in Europe. We should see. Yeah.
Incredible. So obviously we're talking a little bit about Wake Forest now, but I'm very much interested in how do you get into a program that is as prestigious as one like Wake Forest?
Hard work. You need a lot of support. I was lucky that my dad helped me a lot with the college process because I had no idea what was going on. I was just having training as hard as I could and just trying to enjoy time with my friends. And he really helped behind the scenes in terms of getting everything sorted for me, documents, which was really stressful for sure, coming from being an international student and transferring halfway through high school with the transcripts that caused a lot of problems. But it's I think definitely my dad helped a lot for sure.
Because talk to us about the process, because one of the reasons why we wanted to get you on the show, just sort of diving into this this part of the interview, is we have a lot of listeners there, young kids who aspire to play at the highest level. We've got parents who want to do their best for their kids. We've got a lot of people who perhaps aspire to go and play abroad, whether it be professional level, or a lot. In our instance, a lot of people were interested in pursuing the academic career in the US. But talk to me about the process, because I believe you used a recruiting organization to help you build your CV, build your sort of network with other schools, and then from there we're able to connect with Wake Forest. Is that correct?
So I think we partnered with a company called Added Sport, and they've helped a lot of athletes. Not just in football, but in golf, I think basketball, tennis for sure. And so they already had connections with all these like big powerhouse universities, but it was more like Ivy Leagues for like the smarter kids. And for me, I just wanted like the best football I could get, just to push myself. And they were able to get in contact with Wake Forest. And so I did a few trips my sophomore year of high school when I was still in the Philippines. I went to the U.S. for a week, and it was just constant traveling each day to a new university, meeting with coaches, getting my name out there, just introducing myself, seeing if there's interest.
And Added Sports were the ones that connected you with all of these coaches, or was it some stuff that you were doing yourself?
So they just gave me the emails, and I just had to send the emails to all like 50 coaches, Oh,
wow.
Okay. It was definitely very stressful because, you can't really mess that up, or else that's a connection lost.
Right.
So they just like kind of helped me through it, and then I just had to put it out.
talk to me about the email. I'm intrigued with this aspect, because I think people don't really see this part of it. Is you have to do your due diligence. And what you said there is really interesting. Is if you want to send an email to a coach and you mess that up, that connection is lost. What do you mean by that?
So I mean, in my case, for one of the first times that I sent emails, it was like 10 p.m. at night. I just finished homework. I was about to go to sleep because I had to wake up the next morning at like 6 to train. And I got a text that I had to send all these emails out tonight because it was the deadline. And so I messed up 2 of the coaches' names and like reversed them by accident. And that happened, and I didn't hear back from them, which is unfortunate, but you know, it happens. But in terms of the email, so the initial email I sent was just an introduction to me. You know, I did some research on each of the schools, put something there like, oh, congrats on your game, congrats on your win. Introduce myself, who am I, where am I from, position, then like I'm interested in, you know, your college, your university. Then like I attached a CV and some highlight videos, and then just shot that off. Yeah,
I think that's a really undervalued aspect of any kind of recruitment process that a lot of people miss out, is that the detail you have to pay attention to when you send emails, when you send video clips, when you send anything that's interactive between you and a coach is so vitally important, because your first impression that you make with that coach is so important. It's so important, and if you get it wrong, like you said, it's over. In 99% of instances. I'll tell you one where I got it wrong. I sent an email on my brother's behalf, and fortunately the 2 coaches actually knew each other, made a joke out of it, and actually my brother went to the school where the mistake was made. So sometimes it actually works in your favour, only because the coach knew me, so he kind of let me off. But the level of due diligence that you have talked about is something that I think is it's overlooked by a lot of kids going through this process. They think, oh, I might just send an email. I should send a couple of emails out and they should respond. These coaches get hundreds of emails
a day
a day from kids all over the world, and a lot of people will come back, oh, he didn't respond to me, so therefore he doesn't want you. You probably just sent the email. He might have been 2 a.m. his time.
Exactly.
Right. He might have been at a game at the time he received that email. He's not going to respond to you straight away. So, you know, you have to have the professionalism to make sure that those emails are well written, that they're constructed appropriately, that they've got the prerequisite information that they're after.
Exactly. Yeah.
And also that you are paying a vested interest into that program. How many blast emails do I get that's just a template? Yeah. You know, it's not. I know that you sent that email to 25 other teams. Why would I take you on? But if the fact that you've taken the time to obviously do your research, do your due diligence, find out a little bit about the program, I think that makes a huge difference, and obviously is testament to the fact that you've managed to get into a good school. Somewhere down the line, it's obviously paid off for you big time.
Exactly,
which is great.
I'm interested, like how many responded to you out of like 50? You said 50 coaches, right?
Well, that was on that one night, so like maybe like I said like a solid 100. Yeah, throughout the course. I think a lot did respond. Maybe 70%.
Oh, really?
Which is pretty good.
That's good.
And the ones that didn't, I mean, it was okay because I got I was able to narrow down from the 70 that did respond. Yeah. And so then I worked on the second email, which was more of just, you know, I'm planning to come out, maybe come visit, and then from then I kind of gauged their interest in me, like from saying that I wanted to come visit them, and they're like, yeah, sure, come along. Then I planned trips to visit their universities and meet with the coaches. And then that was like the second step. And then from that step, I was able to see just from meeting from the coaches, because obviously coaches are a big part of the team. And so from all the meetings, I was able to pick kind of which ones I felt more comfortable with, and also just from the program of the school. So I kind of had to find like the intersection between like the academics, the football program, and, you know, if I enjoyed like my time with the coach. And from there, I told them I was interested in coming to the camps, which was, again, a big part as an international, the ID camps, which are big.
So you attended the ID camps. So how many different schools were you attending ID camps? Just so everyone knows, those ID camps often have crossover with coaches that are different
sure.
schools. Exactly. They go, so you're obviously still in the shop window with probably dozens of other coaches from other programs. So how did you sort of navigate that?
So my very first ID camp I did was actually like when I was in 9th grade, so way before any of this. But that was just, I kind of did it just because my dad wanted to put me out there.
Right.
And it was just for fun. Like I was still young, just wanted to play.
Yeah.
So I did a Stanford and a Northwestern camp with one of my friends. And I had no idea what those schools were.
Right,
Maybe I heard of Stanford, but I was just, again, it was just being exposed to that college, kind of the life, I guess, living in dorms and stuff. And it was only maybe like 4 years later where I kind of narrowed it down. So I did a Syracuse camp, which was in New York.
Mm-hmm.
And that was kind of my real kind of eye-opener to what these camps will be about and the quality of players.
Which is where Louis Clark went. Louis Clark went to
Really?
Syracuse, yeah, just so you know.
Oh.
My old college coach was
Yeah.
the coach at Syracuse.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. So I went to Syracuse, and then that was in April of 2018, and then in the summer of 2018, I went to Wake Forest, Northwestern, and Georgetown, because were the other 3 schools that I liked. So Northwestern was interested, and so I talked to them for a bit. Georgetown weren't so interested, and Wake Forest was. I was very fortunate that they were interested.
Right.
And so I picked Wake Forest because for me it was kind of no-brainer. It was just the school with the best program, incredible facilities, just great, opportunity. So I was just kept in contact with the coaches. We just again, communication is super important. You gotta always talk to them, show you're interested. So we're just talking, and then we finalized something where I was able to go and join the team, which is great.
You guys talking over email?
Email, text.
Really?
Yeah.
Like WhatsApp and stuff like that?
iMessage majority of the time. Yeah.
All right, just keeping in touch with the coach, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, that's how that works. Okay.
So when you go through that process, you obviously kind of figure out, right, this is the school that I want to go to. Once you make that jump, so you sign a commitment letter,
No.
How did it work?
So I was recruited very late. I think it was maybe the January of my senior year.
Oh wow, okay, so that's really late.
Very late.
Yeah.
So I started the process very late as well. So I mean, I kind of just came onto the team during that summer and just just joined from there.
Yeah. So
yeah.
No, like unveiling.
No.
All right. So what I want to find out a little bit more about is there's obviously that point where you have to make that commitment, and you say, right, I want to attend Wake Forest. For those who don't know, Wake Forest is a renowned sporting school, not just for football. Tim Duncan went there. Was he famous basketball player?
Chris Paul.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Chris Paul went there. Yeah. So, what was it about Wake Forest that separated themselves? Because Georgetown is also a great school. Northwestern is a great school.
Yeah.
So, what was it about Wake Forest that separated themselves from these other programs? And then also, what is it about the sort of the non-footballing side that appealed for you about going to Wake Forest?
Well, first of all, just it's world renowned for being one of the best college soccer programs, if not the best. So in terms of level and what program would suit me best, because I just wanted to push myself and be playing with the best players, Wake Forest was no brainer. Yeah. And it's gonna sound corny, but culture as well was a very, very big thing. And just when I went to the camps of Northwestern, Georgetown, and Wake Forest is really just, it's a win and just developing people. It's more of developing you as a person, not just in football, but after it. So that was also a big thing. With Northwestern, it's not really known for, for soccer. And it was more just academics, I feel, because it is a very, very good school. And with Georgetown, the culture was, I don't think I would fit in well with the people there, just going around the campus. So I think Wake Forest was the best fit. Yeah.
And then with Wake Forest, like you said, I mean, academically, it's also a very good school.
Yeah, for sure.
What in terms of the sort of collegiate experience, what was it that appealed to you about potentially being in? Is it Winston-Salem, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, Winston-Salem, there's not that much.
Right.
So,
yeah.
I mean, but I knew I wouldn't, it would be good as well because there's no distractions.
Yeah, it's very true.
For sure. And I would be very busy. And I saw that last season, just nonstop football. I don't think there was a day where I actually rested. So it's it was been very intense, and it was perfect.
When you're in that sort of soccer season, it's so difficult to manage your time because you're going from. Do you train in the morning or afternoons?
So it would majority of the time was in the afternoon.
Yeah, so you go into class obviously from 8 till
straight.
probably 2 or 3 o'clock, then straight onto the training field, then eat, do your homework, then it's back on the grind, straight after for the next day's classes. How did you find that sort of balance? How did you manage? The other thing you have to transition is also the sort of the social aspect, because it's I'm guessing for the first, you were away from home in Thailand.
Oh, for sure.
Also, so perhaps you've had a little bit of grounding.
Kind of used to it
with that. But how did you find that sort of that transition from going from having most of your day mapped out for you to right now actually you're responsible for dealing with every aspect of your life?
Yeah, tough. Training is very intense, and I saw that firsthand in preseason when there was no classes, and we were training twice a day, and like I was just trying to find as much time as I could to sleep and eat, because I remember the very first session I had, the very first preseason session, the majority out of us freshmen, after 20 minutes I was wheezing, like wanted to cry. Some of my friends were on like all fours, like about to throw up, but then they were just pretending to stretch so coach wouldn't see them. It was one of the toughest sessions I've ever done. It probably is the toughest session I've ever done. And so when the season started, I was like, okay, maybe it's gonna be one session a day. I mean, but then there was classes. I didn't take that into account. You got games, and along with that, you have gym sessions, which the freshmen really did in the morning, because you just wanted to get better. We're young and just want to push ourselves as much as we could. So we did like every day in the morning before classes. So we go into classes just dead, and then come out of classes still dead, and then go to training. And you got to find energy somewhere, because again, the expectations are so high. There's a lot of pressure. Mentally, you've got to be focused in. There's no room for error mentally. I think that's the biggest thing I found out, just the difference in terms of level. Like, you can obviously talk about it being good and all the players are super good, but mentally everyone's just tuned in. Like, it's laser focus, which is crazy. Yeah.
How long did you know that you wanted to pursue this path?
Football?
Yeah.
So I started playing when I was like 11, and then it was, just for fun. Then maybe when I was 13, I was like, okay, I like the sport. It's getting more competitive. Then maybe by like 15, I was like, okay, I want to go pro. Like, I just want to become a professional.
15, so that's what? Like what are you in high school at that point?
Yeah. Oh, maybe 14.
14?
Uh-huh.
So you're just getting into high school around that time?
Yeah.
All right. You made that decision that you were going to play abroad, or that you were just going to pursue it professionally here in the Philippines?
I always wanted to, like, be the best player I could be and reach for the highest that I could. And so that was always kind of just Europe, I feel. It was always just trying to go there and see where it takes me, and try and keep pushing and pushing and pushing. Yeah.
What changed between when you started at 11 to then deciding 3 years later that, right, no, I really want to pursue this? Was it a coach? Was it just something innate within you? Did you just enjoy the game? What was it about football that made you think, well, I really want to pursue this as a career?
I think, first of all, the enjoyment of it. Like, I just loved it so much. I finally found something that resonated with me. And because before that, I was just a normal kid. I didn't know what I was. I can't even remember what I was doing before football. Probably just messing around. Like, there's no direction anywhere. So definitely the enjoyment. Definitely there was something inside that was kind of like telling me that you should do this. Like, you love it, love for the sport. I don't know, just everything that came with football. I feel just I wanted to make it a big part of my life and spend a lot of my adult years pursuing it. Especially just, again, that kind of obsession at the time of just doing the best I could and like pushing and trying to get as far as I can within the sport.
What I want to find out a little bit more about is the fact that you said you started playing football at 11.
Yeah.
Right, which is quite late for football.
Yeah.
So what were you doing? I'm assuming you were doing sort of physical activities before that, or like what? How did you sort of segue into football? Were you doing other activities?
I did fencing for 7 years.
Okay.
Because of Star Wars. I just wanted to learn how to sword fight lightsaber style. And I think after 7 years, I didn't progress on to the next blade, which is called the saber. And so I remember my last session, I cried for like 3 hours because I realized that he hadn't moved me on. And in that session, I broke like 2 swords, just like doing repetitions, just out of pure anger and angst. And then after that, I think I quit.
Right.
Yeah. And then I think the story was with football so one of the summers, like maybe 2011. Oh, I think it was 2011. So I was 10.
Okay.
We went to Chicago for a summer holiday, and we went to the Nike town. And I remember looking at all the shoes on the rack, like all the sneakers. And there was a pair, at the time I didn't know, but it was a pair of like Tiempo Legends with like the black tongue. It's like, wow, those are sick. And I asked my dad if he could buy them for me. And I was like, do you know what these are? It's like, no, but they're sick. Like, well, they're soccer shoes. You know, if I buy it, you gotta start playing. And then I just started playing.
So you never played at all?
I think I played when I was like 3 years old for an MSA or something.
Yeah.
For I think like a month or two.
Right.
And then I quit because I would stand on the field and just not do anything. And then I think we won the finals, and I cried because I didn't get a medal. But it was because like I wasn't actually contributing at all to the team.
Okay.
And yeah, I remember, and I just quit that as well.
So you didn't play between pretty much the age of 3, 4?
Yeah.
Until 10?
Yeah.
When you got a new pair of Nike Tiempos and decided, your dad said, right, you have to play now. I'm going to buy these shoes for you. And I think for me, I'm always pushing my own agenda here, right? As you all know, like I'm a huge advocate for people doing multiple sports or doing different sports. I'm not a fan of early specialization.
Yeah.
One of the things that we've really unpacked in the last sort of month is talking about youth football, because we had an interview that was parents or viewers, listeners, but it ended up being a lot of parents could ask me anything, and a lot of the questions were pertaining to youth football. And a lot of them are like, I've got this young kid, they want to be a pro, they want to do this, they want to do that. And it transpires that the kid's like 8 or 9 years old. And my thing is always like, listen, you need to back off, because this kid just needs to have fun and develop. Sure. And I'm guessing what you're saying is your main sort of source of enjoyment from sport came from fencing. And maybe not enjoyment, but the sport that you the most serious about up until the age of 10 was fencing. So it doesn't have to be that you are specializing in a sport from the age of 6 or 7, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you can't progress to be playing at a really good level, which is where you're at right now, and harbor these desires to want to be a professional footballer. It doesn't have to be that way. By the sounds of what you're saying, I don't want to put words in your mouth, is that you've obviously tried one sport, it got to a certain level, didn't work out, and then you came to the game quite late, but have still found yourself in a position whereby you really want to pursue this as a professional career. Is that right?
Yeah. I think a good example of how early specialization doesn't really exist, or I'm not really a big fan of it, is I saw on Instagram the other day a 5-star basketball recruit committed to a university. So I went on his Instagram page, scrolled down, and I found out he was also playing football, like American football, and he was like maybe like a 3-4-star recruit in that sport as well. And I was like, that's ridiculous. He's a 5-4-star in both these sports. And basketball in the US is huge. Being a 5-star recruit in any sport for college is ridiculous, let alone basketball. That's a perennial NBA player there. And to be in football as well, it's it's crazy. Like, a lot of people are multi-talented, and I feel like you just play as much as you can, and then maybe towards the latter stage of your high school or college career, then you can choose which sport you want to focus on, or maybe even a bit earlier. But yeah,
that's awesome, man. So you're playing, you're doing fencing for a long time, 6-7 years. Do you feel like if some of that translated over to your football game at all?
I can't really think of anything, because it was just me just standing there and like walking back and forth trying to poke someone with like a tin, like a foil, which is the name of the blade I was at. Maybe it introduced me to a bit of like the competitive nature of sports, because I had my very first tournament, which I did pretty well in. Like, I was probably 7, 8 at the time, and I enjoyed the rush I got from it, just competing. So maybe that could have been something. But besides that, I don't think the sword correlated to football that much.
So after your fencing career, you get your tiempos, and then you jump straight into football in British School Manila?
So yes, I played a bit. I was kind of hesitant to join the school because I was kind of scared. So I did MFC first, and I stayed with MFC for a long time after that. But yeah, MFC kind of with my friends, and then I found more enjoyment, in Makati, so I was lucky to join there. And after that, I got more confidence, built my confidence, and then I tried out for the BSM team, and I was lucky to get in, and it just started developing from there.
BSM, you went into an academy as well, a club academy here in the Philippines, and then I understand you went to abroad for the first time. Around what time or what age was that when you went abroad?
So I moved to Thailand halfway through my junior year, so I think I was 17 at the time, or maybe just 16. And so I moved during Christmas to Thailand and spent the rest of my year 12. We called it year 12 there, and then I finished my high school degree there. It was an incredible time for sure.
How do you get recruited over to Thailand, or did you just transfer over? How did that pan out for you?
Because I was playing with the British school, we play a lot of tournaments against other British schools within the area. So we played a tournament in February called Senior Games, and that was my first introduction to BISP in Phuket. And I remember my coach at BSM, Alan Dunstan, was going on about how these guys are really good. You know, they produce a lot of really good players. Some of their players have gone on like Sporting Lisbon, Benfica. And so, you know, we were scared, and we played them, and I think it was our very first game when we played them, and we lost. I think we lost 1-0. They scored last minute. I was like, wow, like these guys are really good. You know, there's really good level, and I think I was able to play well and show well. And then for the rest of that tournament, I think I did really well as well. I brought, you know, our team made it to the semifinals. I was able to score a couple of goals, and I caught the eye of the coach. But during that time, I had no, you know, like I had no plans on leaving BSM. I was enjoying my time in the Philippines. And then it was later on, I think the next year or later on that year, where I was like, you know, I think I really want to leave in terms of, for my development at least, because I don't really see myself maximizing my potential here anymore. Like I've done everything I need to do here. I've tried to play it against like the best competition. And so we were looking at options, reevaluating. There was the UK in Bisham Academy. And then there was also BISP, which my coach from BSM let me know about as well, like brought it up again, saying like, you know, they're interested in having you as well. Like they liked you, so I was very fortunate about that. So I ended up having a 1-week trial in Phuket. I went there during one of my weeks of school. And because I got to miss a week of school, I was just there in Phuket, like just joining the training sessions for the week, and then just chilling the rest of the days in the school, watching The Office in the library. So I didn't have any other work to do. There's no classes. But yeah, and I did well in the trial, and I moved like a month after that and confirmed everything. You know, it was tough 'cause leaving all my friends in the school I've been at since I was like 3 years old. But like I kind of knew what I had to do. It wasn't that hard because I really wanted to do it.
Wow. We were talking a little bit, weren't we, earlier, that the school in Phuket, British school in Phuket, they seemingly do recruit quite a few kids from the Philippines now, aren't they?
Yeah, now definitely.
There's quite a few more that.
Yeah.
Were you the first one?
So no, before me there was.
Was Fonzie there?
Fonzie was the first one, I think.
Fonzie Escoban.
Exactly, and then
But he's your year.
He's a year below me. He's 2002.
Year below.
Yeah,
okay.
so he's still there. We're obviously still in touch.
Yeah.
And then I think the same year as me, but in August. So I came in like January. The August prior to that year, 3 or 4 Filipinos came, and they all came in one wave. Yeah. And just like started a new trend of like Pinoys.
And what was that? What was the sort of rationale behind it? How did that all sort of come about?
I don't know. I think they just kind of like, there was I was talking to the guys, Francis, Wilmer, and Dove, and they were saying how they were part of a group and they all came to Phuket to try out. And so, I mean, they impressed the coaches and they were all able to get scholarships and they came, which is great.
Because I'm guessing it's quite an expensive school to
go
to.
For sure. I think it's like the same as like a BSM. These international schools, which is kind of a lot of money.
Yeah, so I'm guessing a lot of these kids have got scholarships to play there. Oh, that's wonderful.
It's great.
Because I mean, Fonzie was with Kaya, with our academy, when he was about 11 years old. He was a bit of a man child. He was enormous,
He's big.
but really, really good player. He ended up sort of going off the radar. I didn't even really know what happened to him. And then the next thing you know, I think even probably via one of your mum's posts, I was like, oh my gosh, Fonzie's over there. So it was nice to see him. I mean, Dov would have probably played with you at Morocco. Is that right?
Yeah, but he was a lot younger.
He was younger than you.
2 years younger than me.
So it's nice to see some of those kids make the step to progress in their career, because I think one of the things that I've discovered with players who are based here is there is a reluctance to try to really push themselves.
To leave,
I get that it's difficult for you to leave home. I get that it's hard for you to leave friends and families. But if you are really single-minded about what you want to do and what you want to achieve in your life, sometimes you have to make those sacrifices and make that leap of faith, which is something that you've just illustrated there with what you had to do. How did you find it, and how did it impact you? Especially with your family, because I know they were a little bit reluctant to see you go.
I mean, I think during the process of me leaving and me telling them I wanted to leave, they kind of came to terms with it, because it was at the point where I was in a kind of a low point because I didn't really see myself going anywhere with football, and like I really wanted. Obviously, I love the game.
Why was that? Why did you not see anything panning out here?
There wasn't opportunities, I feel, and just the organization wasn't, that good enough.
From whom? From where?
I used to play with the Morocco first team, and that's I feel like not really a mistake, but I was supposed to go to the UK, but I decided to stay here because I got this offer, play with the first team, great quality, maybe break in hopefully while doing my education in BSM still, and I feel like that comfortability was just like, okay, let's just stay, and so I did, and yeah, it was good, it was great. Like I was playing with really good players, my idols, the young husbands, just seeing them at training every day, and it was really good quality. And then the season came around, and we were talking with the PFF, I think me and the coaches, and I wasn't allowed to to feature in any games because I needed to get paid, which again for college you can't do. You have to maintain amateur status to be eligible, and so I didn't really make that much sense to me because I'm not getting paid, and they said you couldn't, so there was no route for me with first team football, which I feel would have been the height of what I could get for sure. It's the professional league here in the Philippines. And then after that, it was a tough 2 months, just playing with my school, and again back, the quality level just dropped significantly. And I told my parents, I have to get out because there's nowhere else I can go.
So basically, the eligibility issue was what prompted you to leave, because obviously on paper, and listen, just so everyone knows, I met with your mum and dad. We had a nice dinner. I don't know if you know this, but we met. We went out for dinner, and we were sort of talking about different avenues that he could potentially pursue. And there was a couple of things on the table. Obviously, the Bisham Abbey one is through Rob Gear, who I connected his mum and dad with 4 or 5 years ago, probably something like that. And he went to the UK and did that. Obviously, the I think Simon McMenemy was in charge of Morocco at the time. Was it? Right?
Oh, when I very first came. But then when I did the first team, it was Coach Aris.
And Coach Aris was involved. For me, someone like William, he should have been pushed into that setup. We had loads of young kids as well who we talked about before, who were of that same sort of around your era, maybe a little bit 1 or 2 years older than you, who should have been pushed into that space a lot younger, and they were more than capable at 15, 16 of playing in whatever it was, UFL, PFL, whatever it was at the time. But obviously, because of the system being broken or not allowing for certain concessions, there's potentially some development there that was lost because it was a fault of the system, not a fault of your own. And I feel like you're someone who fortunately has managed to forge a path, a new one, and in maybe in actuality it's a better one, but still that pathway, that your development could have been accentuated had you been able to at least had that exposure at a young age. And this is just one example of many that I spoke about before, where the system is broken and people are falling through the cracks, or people aren't maximizing their potential because of these sort of systematic issues that a lot of these kids are experiencing. Fortunately for you, it doesn't seem to have derailed you so much. But one of the things that I hope moving forward is that players in your situation moving forward are able to bypass some of these problems, because I think there is certainly a lot of players who have the potential who aren't getting that exposure and are now having to explore different avenues because they're not getting that opportunity to develop here.
Exactly. Yeah, it's tough. I think another thing would also be just, for some reason, I don't know why, but a lot of my Filipino friends who've grown up locally, when I talk to them about, when they're good at football, I talk to them about, what are your plans for the future, all this. It's always like, go back home. I'm kind of surprised. I'm like, you don't want to aspire for something else? And it all comes down to they're scared for some reason. There's a fear of maybe the unknown. No one in their family has gone out of here or pushed for a dream. Yeah. And I feel like that fear dictates them, and they have so much potential, and just it goes to waste because they're scared for some reason. Yeah. Yeah. And it's sad to see.
I'm actually not too surprised by that. Especially Filipinos who have not gone out too far and seen different lands and all of this. It's a scary feeling, to get far. You fortunately were exposed to a lot of different cultures, a lot of different places growing up. So I understand that I myself sometimes am hesitant to go out of my own comfort zone, even though I've traveled a little bit. I'm always given a little bit of anxiety to myself whenever I have to pack up and leave, even if it's only for a few days. So it's like, oh, you're going to spend 3 months over there and you don't know how to speak English that well. That could be frightening. You know what I mean? So I get it. I understand that point of view a little bit, but it's got to start somewhere, right? If one person does it, it opens the door for more people to sort of like follow that path on and see where you might be able to grow abroad. And seeing as you went to Phuket and you were able to, find a new lease of life in your career as a footballer, it should be something that maybe people are more open to down the road, But speaking of Phuket, how was the quality over there? How did you find it? The experience like? And, like just the whole, not even the football.
Yeah.
Like, what was it like? I've
always said this, everyone, like, probably one of the best decisions I've made. I grew a lot, not just as a player, but person. I met a lot of new people. It was pretty easy as well because I had all these Filipinos that I've played against before, so I knew them. So I wasn't that uncomfortable moving in, and they made it like home for me, and it was just a great experience for sure. The Coach Jonathan is a great coach. The way he organizes the system is, the program is great. The quality was definitely very good. They recruit Brazilians, and they're very good. Yeah. So yeah, there was always at least. When I first came, there was this one Brazilian who was unreal, and he was just my dueling partner. And we talk and just like try and push each other nonstop. Like we were going at each other, and that's how you get better. Yeah, just pushing each other for sure. Yeah, it was great.
Where did most of your cohort? Where did they end up playing?
So from my team, I know that Brazilian's in the U.S. right now. He took 1 year off, and then not a year off, but he spent another year playing, and he'd probably go to college next year, or he might go to Europe. I know the Pinoys, so like Francis is in UP now. Wilmer's in Ateneo. And from my year group, there wasn't that many football players in terms of my the year 13. Yeah. It was mainly just the Filipinos and the Brazilian.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I'm always intrigued to find out where these kids sort of end up, because I think once you've had that kind of experience and that grounding, I'm always intrigued to see how they sprout off, because I know with the program, is it attached to, is it Cruzeiro?
Yeah.
Is it, the Brazilian
the team.
So whenever you said that some of the kids have gone off to Portugal or they've gone to other places, I'm always intrigued to see how that kind of works out for a lot of these kids, because it sounds like a great program, and I'm guessing Phuket's not a bad place to
definitely not.
to play your trade, right?
Definitely not a tough spot, huh?
Definitely not. I think the worst place is to go to school. But one of the things that I also want to talk about a little bit is you've been involved with the youth national team at under 16 level. So that would have been back in 2000 and...
Oh, sorry, I was 15. 15. So, but it was under... Yeah, so it was 2016.
2016.
I was 15 years old.
Yeah. And how would that go for you?
At that time, it was it was unreal. Like, wow, the national team playing with my idols, because I knew all these guys. I've played against them before, and they're all everyone was a year older than me, and it was just great. Like they treated me like a younger brother. Again, I remember unfortunately I got dengue on the week of the tournament, which is unfortunate.
And which of the tournament were you preparing for?
So it was in Cambodia. I'm not sure which one. It may have been the AFC or something.
Yeah.
So I remember. Yeah, the day of our first game against Singapore, I started to feel sick, but I thought it was just whatever. And then that night after the game, my fever started to hit, and I was like, okay, this is not normal. Then luckily my mom was there, so he rushed me to the hospital, told me I had dengue, told me I had to rest 2 months. But then we came against the doctor's advice. We came back for the last game, and then I was able to play against
with dengue.
Yeah, but I had so much adrenaline, it was crazy. But then the adrenaline wore off in the 70th minute.
You started as well?
Yeah, I was only supposed to play for the half. But then I was like, okay, let's keep going.
Who's the coach?
Coach Mari. I think we call him Coach Bro as well.
Yeah, Brother Mari.
Yeah. And then, the 70th minute, something happened. I was like, whoa, this is not normal.
Probably the dengue.
Yeah, exactly. Everything wore off, and I was like, okay, this is it. I raised my hand, and I got subbed off, and I was just... sitting on the bench with a coat on in 35-degree weather.
Yeah.
But that was unreal. I got so much goosebumps, just so much pride as well, playing for your country.
Yeah.
Standing there with the national anthem. Yeah, it was great.
Yeah. So that's your only experience with the youth national team today?
Yeah.
Okay. Why is that? Why have you not been involved in some of the other youth national team experiences?
So the tournaments are normally during summer, and all my summers have been like just filled with football, and my family has had to kind of move around with their plans to accommodate what I wanted to do in summers. So I'm very grateful for that. But like with all these opportunities, I've got many tournaments during summers, like going to Europe or just doing camps. Again, I did my ID camps for college during the summer, and they all just there was a conflict between, do you want to represent your country, or you want to go to Europe and possibly make something out of nothing, whether it be trials or something. And again, the college ID camp I had to do because it's the only way to let the coaches see me play. And I always kind of chose the latter of just going to Europe or the US. I felt for my development, at least, it was just a better move. Like with all, when I was talking about my experience with the national team, I kind of romanticized it. There was I saw a lot of, at first hand, how the PFF handles the football, and it wasn't very organized. We were training for 2 months, and we would just move around sometimes, and you could tell the budget wasn't that that good for a U16 team who wants to try and compete. The training level wasn't as good. The training structures. It was kind of disorganized, and as much as I loved it, like there was, for me as a player, I had to go somewhere else to continue my development better.
Yeah. So rather than trying to push through with that age category, playing in underage youth national team tournaments, you felt for your development it was better that you went on these ID camps, that you went to try to pursue more individualized or specialized training in Europe, etc., because that's what you felt was going to be best for your long-term development. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I think that's quite a rare way to look at that. We can see obviously that you've got immense pride in pulling on the jersey.
Yeah.
You played with dengue, right? I mean, you're stupid, right? And coaches, very irresponsible, but whatever. But so it can't be a case of wanting to play, because obviously you've demonstrated that you want to play under any circumstance, right? So that's great. But I think one of the things that I think young players and parents also need to see is the fact that looking out for your best interests as an individual and focusing on your individual player development is of primary importance. That really is the most important thing, because it's great that you got your teammates now. They're not going to be your teammates in 1 year, 2 years.
Exactly.
Then everyone goes their separate ways and they do their own thing. It's really important, especially in that phase where the most growth happens. It is that sort of 11 to 15, 16 year 5-year window that you have to be maximizing your potential. And if you're not doing those things, if you're not trying to accelerate your development, you're going to reach a ceiling at some point. And unfortunately, I think a lot of kids do go along that path of working with youth national team programs, and they don't get what they feel as though they should be getting out of that, and they don't realize it until it's too late.
Yeah. Sad, yeah.
One thing that sticks out to me in the story that you're telling is that you've been the driver of wanting to explore these opportunities. Is that correct? It's not your parents.
It's always been me. I feel I was lucky as a child to have, I remember my second year of playing football, I went to Gothia Cup with MFC. Then went the year after, and so I was already exposed to all this football outside in Europe. And I learned, I was uncomfortable the very first time. I was scared, a lot of fear, but again, I grew so much in just within a month. And so from then I was able to kind of see that all my growing came from being outside my comfort zone, making myself uncomfortable. And I think with my decision making, a lot of the times for the summers, it was as well, which one would make me more uncomfortable, because the way I judge it. And so I always wanted the one which I was more scared of, because I knew I'd grow more as a player.
That's a unique mindset. I mean, it's not unique, but it's a very strong mindset to have, especially as a young man. You know what I mean?
I think also I wanted to talk a little bit about your parents, because I think, again, that's a common theme that's been running through recent podcasts that we've been doing. How have they influenced you? Because I get a feeling, I mean, listen, your parents are both very involved, but also not that involved, if that kind of makes sense. Exactly kind of what Jing was getting at with a little bit with his line of question. But I want to sort of delve a little bit more deeper into how involved have your parents been? What sort of support have they provided? And how do you think they've helped you to get to the point that you're at now?
I think they've, in terms of direction, I've kind of brought it to where I wanted to go. And I think they saw how hard I've worked to be where I'm at. And, that just gave them more incentive and reason to kind of help support me because I put in so much. They've never like pushed me or forced me to do anything football wise. Like I've always chosen. If anything, they've just like shown me many opportunities, and my dad's always said like, you know, you got to look at all your options and write them down, pros, cons of everything. Then you can make a decision based on what you want, and we'll go from there. But yeah, they've been very supportive for sure. And they've guided me, but it's never like a forced push. It's more like a, if you go here, this will happen. If you go here, this will happen. You make the choice yourself, which has been good.
Yeah. And I think that's great because then ultimately everything is going to fall on your shoulders.
Exactly.
You've got no one to blame now.
Exactly.
However this pans out, it's going to be down to you and the decisions that you made, and you'll have to live with those consequences. Which I think, if you're a footballer, that's all you really want. You want to be in charge of making your own decisions and having autonomy over your career. Which takes me on to back really full circle with Wake Forest, because I want to delve into what's the sort of the 3.5 year plan for you now, because playing as a freshman at Wake Forest is very difficult, and you found that. And I don't think going into this process you probably thought, I'm going to go in and start and play 90 minutes of every game. You obviously understand that it's a process and it's one that evolves as your 4-year career, as your 4-year career goes through the process. What do you think your plans are, both as an individual in the next 3.5 years, and what do you think that the plans are for the team over this next 3.5 years?
The team, I think it's obvious. We just want to win. We made it to the Final Four this year. We're definitely going to be trying to go to Final Four next year at the very minimum. Like the winning culture within the team is very, very strong, and I found that within my first few weeks, the way we talk about the NCAA and like how we're going to go about it, just the commitment everyone has and how serious everyone is. Is very evident. So that for the team, I think it's definitely we're trying to win a national championship. Yeah. For me, obviously, just continue my development, try and break into the team, try and get as much minutes as I can, try and perform as well as I can, try and get scouts to look at me, MLS scouts, and just really just. As right now, I feel like I can't really say anything for the future. I just gotta go and like work hard and see where it takes me and see what happens. Let my options open up for me from hard work, because I can't be saying anything like, I want to do this and do that.
Yeah,
now.
of course.
I just gotta keep my head down and keep going.
So in order for you to play more as a sophomore, or even play a little bit more spring ball, what do you have to do? What aspects of your game do you need to work on?
Definitely mentally, I can't allow myself to break, and I always thought of myself as a pretty mentally strong person in terms of the game, but the focus there, again, I said it before, it's laser sharp. You can't, everything just gotta be happening. Tactically, just trying to expand, make sure I read the playbook inside out, memorize it like back of my hand, watch as much videos as I can, and then obviously getting stronger because I'm pretty small compared to a lot of the college athletes, which I found out. But again, I can, I'm lucky that I'm sort of quick and agile, so I can use that to my advantage. But definitely get stronger. Mentally, got to get stronger as well, and obviously it doesn't hurt like improve technically, because everyone can get better.
They got a playbook. Talk to me about your playbook, not the nuances.
I mean, like we got like the corners, all the corners we use. Our defensive shape, our different kind of presses, the walls, how we set up, our attacking corners, all that. All
so you got that all in a book.
It's in like a booklet we have. Yeah. And
you make sure you memorize it. You need to know where it is.
Yeah, I need to make sure I know everything. Yeah.
So if you go into the wall, you need to know
exactly. Because once you get in the game, they give you the number, then you have to go. You gotta know what you're doing.
So they have it all numbered.
Yeah, everything's numbered out. Yeah, and there's directions. And there's videos and stuff that they send us, so it's good.
Yeah.
Both of you guys are pretty familiar with the NCAA season. Me, not so much. So, like, how many games are you playing in a year, and against how many teams?
So, we played for the regular season. We played around 2 games a week, and I think that was for September to October-ish, November-ish. Okay. And then we get into, so we're in the ACC, which again is our conference and very, very strong.
Do you want to name some of the teams that are in there? Some names that will be very familiar in that conference.
All right, throw them up.
UNC, Duke, Clemson, Syracuse, Notre Dame. I feel like I'm missing a lot. Boston College, all these,
big hitters
for sure. And they're, for basketball, they're also very big. It's a very, very competitive conference. So we after the regular season, we do the ACC tournament, which I'm not sure how we qualify exactly, but so we qualified this year. We lost in the semis to Virginia, at Virginia, and so we came back early for like a week, and then we had the start of the NCAA tournament was started, and we had like a first round bye, so we didn't have to play in the first round because we with enough points and we had won enough games, so we
seeded basically.
Exactly, seed. So we did the second round, third round, round of 16, and then we went on from there to the semis, and then it ended pretty late. Yeah.
So easily more than 20 games you guys are playing.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Yeah, so you have sort of like a regular season, then you have a conference schedule, you have an in-conference schedule, then you have a sort of postseason, and if you're lucky, if you're at Wake Forest, you're going to be playing a lot of postseason games. You know, some people's postseason does not last that long.
Yeah.
So, you're probably playing, I would say you probably end up playing maybe 22, 23 games, something like that.
I think so, yeah.
Something around that
Very
mark.
fortunate to play. I mean, again, another goal that we set ourselves is playing the most amount of games as possible because, that means you win everything.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. That's a lot.
It is a lot.
In a very short time span as well. I think that's what people need to be aware of. I think the first year, this is maybe a little bit of advice for you as well, the first semester is always the toughest.
It's very
because not only are you going to go in and you need to adjust from a social perspective, so you don't want to go there and not have any friends and not get along with anyone. So that's always a massive thing that's undervalued, underappreciated when you first go. Just being able to feel at home in a completely different country with a completely new set of people at quite a fragile time. You're 18 years old, right? So you still, there's probably a little bit of teenage angst still in there somewhere, I'm sure. You won't admit it, but there probably is. Then you've got to go in and deal with the classes, right? Yeah. And if you're at a good institution like a Wake Forest, the classes aren't going to be a cakewalk. I mean, listen, I took the easiest classes my first semester and I still struggled, so it's just, and balancing all that is a problem. Yeah. Then you've got to factor in all of the football side.
Yeah.
That's an incredible amount of things to adjust for in such a small period of time. And it'll get easier, trust me, it'll get easier. Yeah. But, I think all of those things that you have to take into account that first year is so to So I think, you have to be commended on that front because that is a very, very tough thing to deal with straight off the bat. Yeah. And, when you figure out you're playing 2 games a week, when you figure out you got finals, you need to prepare midterms, you got to prepare for, that's a heavy workload, mate. Yeah. It's a really heavy workload. And I think it takes a special type of individual to be able to handle that because
for real.
That's heavy.
Yeah, I'm 30 plus, man, and that
you'd have no chance of doing it. I don't know how I did it. Honestly.
So okay, like you're there, you're all alone. Obviously, you've dealt with it being as you spent a year in Phuket already, a year and a half, right? Yeah. So you're used to being away from your family, but whenever you're lonely, whenever you feel detached, and obviously you're still gaining a group of friends. Like, what do you do? What helps you out when you're lonely, when you need a shoulder or whatever?
I mean,
what do you do?
I'm very, very fortunate that I have relationships with people from, Manila and Phuket that I hold very close to me, and they're always there, just like literally a Facebook Messenger call away. Right. Because they're all either in the US or in the UK, and I see, in terms of the adjustment, they're seeing similar, problems because of the culture, and, I'm never really alone. And it's not like going to university, I wasn't really looking for friends, if they came, they came, but I was already very comfortable with the people, the friends I have already, so... It was never that much pressure on me.
Yeah. Wow. All right, just easy peasy, huh?
Yeah. It just batted that one away real hard.
Well, it was tough, but like I had them with me, I just called them nonstop, which is great.
All right. Yeah. All right, so the internet helps a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
I was pre-internet, mate. I was like phone cards.
You know what I mean? I can imagine.
I was phone cards and like, oh my gosh, like I didn't call my mum for the first like 2 weeks, and the coach came into my room and was like, your mum's called the office. Like, is he there? Yeah. Like, yeah, he's there. He's there, man. Don't worry about it. So yeah, I had to call it. But no, I think the internet should help. But still, it's again, it's commendable that you're able to deal with that because that's a lot to take on. Yeah. And it gets easier. So yeah, don't worry about it too much. The last thing I want to sort of cover with you is we talked a little bit about your plans with Wake Forest, and we've already identified pretty much it's just try and get by, whatever next year holds, whatever next semester holds, and we sort of keep it as that focus. But you did say MLS is something that you've kind of got in terms of your long-term vision, is something that you got your eye on. Is what else is kind of in your hopes and dreams for the future? Like, do you have aspirations to play at the pro level here, MLS, national team? What's the sort of the big future plan for you?
I think for any football player that wants to like really go and push, Europe was always the biggest thing.
Yeah.
You know, one of the biggest leagues, like, you know, Portugal, Spain, the UK, Germany, anywhere like that. So that will obviously be one of my goals. I just need to find a way to get there. And again, it just comes back to got to keep performing. You know, hopefully catch a 9, maybe make a few connections. Like I've gone to Portugal a few times to train with some teams there, and so I've made some connections. But again, that's kind of like the main thing at the end. Hopefully, we'll see.
Okay.
Maybe like a Europe.
Damn. All right. Well, you know, I'd definitely be, you know, looking out and seeing how you progress over in Wake Forest, and it'd be nice to have like a homegrown product playing in Europe. You know?
I think one of the things, I've known you for a while. I know both your parents. I think one of the things that has stood out for me in this interview is just what you have to do in order to get to the level where you're at right now.
Right.
I know we're not talking about, you know, going to the next level, which is actually, you know, featuring more in a Wake Forest, you know, program like a Wake Forest. It's, you know, this is the type of detail that you have to, you know, focus on. You know, the emails, how you communicate, how you conduct yourself. You know, one of the things you just said there, which is really striking, is I was prepared to go to Wake Forest and make no friends and just be focused on, you know, stuff like that. Is I don't think it's in everybody's, it's not in the forefront of everyone's mind. And I think everyone says they want to make it. Everyone says they want to do great things. But until you actually really get down to the nitty gritty of what you have to do in order to get to that level, then all of a sudden, actually, I don't fancy doing that. You know, I don't fancy being on my own and, you know, being up till 12 at night, you know, reading the playbook. You know, I'd much rather go out drinking with my buddies. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I think that is something that, gauging the interview that we've had and your responses to a lot of these questions, that's something that's really stuck out for me. I've known that other coaches have said this about you before. Your mum and dad always say that about you, but they're your parents. They have to say nice things. But the focus element for me is the thing that has stood out. And I think for any young kid that's out there that wants to and aspires to play at any kind of level, I think should listen to this and take that on board, because if you really want to be successful, these are the types of sacrifices that you have to make. You know, are you going to be willing at 14, 15, 16 years old to move to another country where you don't know anyone, leave your parents, leave your family, and be ready to put all your eggs in that basket? You know, I don't know how many people really are. I don't know how many people are. And, you know, for you to be willing to put yourself out there and do that, I think that shows incredible courage. And it shows a lot of people who I think are probably a little bit further down the footballing pathway. Maybe they're a kid that's 7, 8, 9, 10, and they want to potentially play at a really good level. These are the types of things that you have to do if you really want to pursue football as a career. That's one of the takeaways that I've got. Any big takeaways from you? 2 words, mostly just 2 things actually: ambition and single-mindedness. You know, like your willingness to reach further than a lot of where people see as the limit of where they can reach. It seems as if you looked much further than that and saw the pathway that you could take to get there, and then it was all about your single-mindedness to take you all the way over to playing in the NCAA. And you picked up the game a little late. You know, people are usually touching the ball at 5 or 6 and 7. They're getting through, you know, the age groups as from that time. You picked up the ball at 11, or 10 and 11. So it's a bit later, but you bridge that gap based on just your passion for the game and your willingness to put yourself in uncomfortable situations. So, you know, it's tough. It's a tough ask to tell people to like find the most uncomfortable place that you could possibly be and then put yourself there. It's like nobody wants to do that. So I think your willingness to do that has put you in the position that you're in right now. So hey man, congratulations. It's been a pleasure kind of like, you know, unpacking your journey over the last few years. And it's cool to see, man, that you're putting yourself in that position to succeed, hopefully, you know, in a big way over the next few years in the United States. Yeah, absolutely. Any last thoughts for you? Anything you wish we had asked you that we didn't?
I think you covered quite a lot.
Did we?
Yeah, it was good. Yeah, thank you.
One question that I would like to ask, right? I mean, you've had an opportunity to play with a lot of the footballers here, you know, from all over the Philippines, provinces and whatnot, who might have a similar skill set to you, right? Or are not too far away in terms of technique. What is your advice to individuals like that who want to reach as far as they can, but perhaps are limited by certain beliefs?
Yeah, I think I touched on it before, just about fear. Like, you just can't be scared, like dream. Don't be scared to dream. That's, you should definitely dream, that leads to ambition. But again, just don't be scared of not making it. Don't be scared of what people have to say about you. A lot of people aren't going to believe in you. There's going to be a lot of hate. Like, I got a lot of hate before about the most random stuff. But again, just don't be afraid and just keep going. Just don't be scared. And, if you're not scared, it'll take you a long way, I think. Yeah.
Brilliant.
Perfect.
That's a great final point, I think. Yep. But it's been a pleasure to have you on the show. I think, like we said, a lot of young kids, a lot of parents will be listening to that and be really amazed by your journey, how you've gone about it. And, I, for one, have watched you grow as a player. I'm really excited to see how things develop for you at Wake Forest and beyond. And fair play to you, mate. You've done a really great job up until now. Just want to wish you all the best in your footballing pursuits, and whatever happens will happen. And but no, you should be really proud of yourself for all of the things that you've achieved thus far, and we really eagerly anticipate you having a wonderful football career.
Thank you, appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming on.
Of course.
If you enjoyed this episode, please do subscribe to our YouTube, Spotify, and on Apple Podcasts. And as usual, please do rate and review the show. If you enjoyed it, please do tell a friend and spread the word. And please do hit us up on their social media accounts on Facebook, Instagram, and on Twitter. See you guys next time for the next Football Friday.